So now that you have a pretty good handle on your productivity type and some of the characteristics that are innate to you, what's next? Well, now maybe it means there's some new ways of working that have come to light for you. So let's talk a little bit about creating new habits or changing old habits and how to set yourself up for success. Now, what can I tell you about habits that you don't already know, other than the fact that it can take longer than 21 days to change or make a habit? That's not a hard and fast rule. There's actually no evidence that this time formula is true. As a matter of fact, it can take as little as 18 days or as long as 254 days for a person to form a new habit, with the average being 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. Timing depends on factors like motivation to change, how long you've been doing it, and also the type of environment that will support habit change. Just saying you're going to do something different doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's some work that you're going to have to do. And if you are looking to work a little smarter, something has to change in your current approach. You can't keep relying on that hopey, changey thing to happen. There are many strategies that we can employ to mindfully create habits that will increase our energy, productivity, and focus. So let's go through some proven strategies that facilitate habit change. You can follow along with these on page 33 of your workbook. So you can start with setting a SMART goal. Goal setting provides you with direction, focus, plus a sense of urgency. Urgency is really the motivator in this. It's what inspires and keeps you going even when you don't want to. Now, this can be a little involved to do, but this and versions of this formula have been around for years and it works. A SMART goal, if you're not familiar with it, is a criterion to follow. The acronym is pretty much self-explanatory, but I've also added a handout on your webpage that describes each letter. So let's go through the acronym. So SMART stands for specific. It should clearly define what you're going to do. It will usually answer questions like, what will this goal accomplish? How and why will it be accomplished? Next is it needs to be measurable. You need some way to measure it so that you know when you've accomplished it. It usually answers questions like, how much? How many? How will I measure whether or not this goal has been reached? It needs to be achievable. The goal should be achievable and realistic. It likely will answer questions like, is it possible? Do I have the necessary knowledge, skills, abilities, as well as resources to accomplish this goal? It must be relevant. A relevant goal can answer yes to these questions. Does this seem worthwhile? Is this the right time? Does this match my other efforts or my other needs? And it needs to be time bound. Goals ideally should be linked to a time frame that creates a practical sense of urgency. A time bound goal should answer questions like when? What can I do today to move it along the time frame? And I really like adding the additional T for tough, as in the goal should challenge and inspire you. Ask yourself, does this goal test my knowledge, skills, and or abilities? Does it spark enthusiasm? Will meeting this goal challenge me without defeating me? So that's a SMART goal. Now let's look at some other ways to facilitate habit change. You can track what you do. Tracking what you do over a period of time will give you clues as to where you're spending your time. This is especially useful if you're one of those people that struggles with not enough time. In order to get the important stuff done, you need to be spending your time on the right stuff, and there may be times or activities that are not being utilized well. Tracking will give you data and allow you to analyze the results and make educated decisions on how to use your time. You could be spending more time on trivial matters than you realize. Now, in this case, we may be looking at breaking an old habit and replacing it with something that will give you a better return on time invested. You could use apps to help you, like Toggle. That's TOGGL. This is an online time tracker and it's really easy to use and has a generous free tier of service. You can also use it through a browser extension where the button shows up on just about every web app that you could imagine. Next is structure your environment. Create an ideal work environment in such a way as to support the changes that you're wanting to make. There are many ways that you can change or influence your surroundings by simply doing little things. It's those little shifts that can make a difference in the long run. And since you likely spend a good part of your waking hours at your desk, in your cubicle, your office, whatever, doesn't it make sense to create the right ambiance? Consider things like lighting, a plant, motivational quips, and of course, my fave, an organized, functional workspace. So, for some additional ideas, you can check out the list that's in your workbook. Engage other people. Collaborating with an accountability partner can help you in forming new habits by setting up weekly check ins. Having to answer to someone else can often force you to do what you need to do, yeah, even when you don't want to do it. I've worked with an accountability buddy for years now, and I truly believe that's the reason I've done as well as I have in my business. I set goals and I send them to her quarterly, and she in turn sends hers to me. We have regular check ins and we talk about our challenges, but also, and this is really important, the wins. Avoid loopholes. Loopholes in this context are those things that we invoke to let ourselves off the hook when we indulge in a habit that we know we shouldn't. Loopholes almost sound like excuses, but it's like we justify why we're not doing something that we know we need to do. So, for example, with everything that's going on right now, it's just not a good time for me. Or I can't do this right now because I'm busy doing that. And I really should get that done before this, even though that doesn't lead you anywhere near your goal of improved habits. And reward yourself. Positive reinforcement works, even on us big kids. And it's not about giving you something to work towards. That's not what we're talking about here. Rewards are meant to help you form habits by making you feel good about the actions after you do them. Your brain responds to rewards rapidly and in several ways. So if you're going to associate a reward with an action, the two need to be really close together. So after I complete this, I get that. The key factor in all of this is that this is something that you want to do. If it's something that you hate doing in the first place, you won't be doing it for long, no matter what rewards you have set up for yourself. So the reward needs to be small enough to avoid shifting your motivation and just large enough to create an extra boost of good feelings that you associate with your action. Don't motivate yourself with rewards. Use them to help you enjoy your habits. So I've given you a very brief overview of rewards and habit change. If you're interested in more information, there's an article on the psychology of habits on your webpage. It's long, but you can likely skip to the rewards part to really get a grasp on the concept of reward yourself. This is not a comprehensive list, of course, but I hope it sparks some ideas for you. So what strategy for habit change most appeals for you? Is there one that isn't listed, but you've been, curious to give it a go? What strategy are you willing to commit to? And if you're contemplating working with an accountability buddy, and I do highly recommend this option, review and discuss the strategies that are listed in your workbook, as well as any others that may have come up for you on your own. And then identify which strategy will work best for you. And the same goes for your buddy. And by the way, the strategies don't need to be the same for both of you. And then work together to develop a follow-up plan with one another. Now, one last little bit on this topic. You can't expect to change years of habits overnight. You've got some work ahead of you. Small changes in how you work can gradually add up to big changes in productivity. And change is a process. It is not an event. So don't forget that you're a human being doing human things. Go easy on yourself through the course of change. The last topic in this course before our wrap up call is the power of assertive communication. So I'll see you in the next video.